Alright, this is like tip number 3 because my phone acting up. But anyway, I put these 4 wires that wasn't being used on this side and ground it to the block. And now it doesn't arc when it's running. You don't hear it arcing anymore. Because when the rotor goes over those plug wires that's not being used, it grounds out and it doesn't arc. Basically killing the spark on this side of the cap. Now on a normal 302, you would have another cylinder head on this side with exhaust manifold. For those of you that are curious how this thing works, on a normal 302, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 on the other side. And normally you time your ignition off of number 1 piston on this side. Well, since it's an air compressor, 4 of these pistons pump air, and the other 4 on the other side runs the engine. Well, since it has a V8 cap on it, I had to put 4 plug bars on this side to ground it because it was arcing from the cap to whatever metal there is there. And while it was arcing like that, I go try to adjust the carburetor, I get zapped. Which is kind of funny, but anyway, it's off subject there. But anyway, I just had it running, and it goes up to about 180 psi. It was 180 psi, and then this thing popped off. So, then this side is where your ignition is. Okay. To time this air compressor for the ignition, you timed it on the number 8 cylinder right here. You put this is your number 1 on this side, which is your number 8. Number 8, 7, 6, 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4 over there. That's where you time off of this one right here. And one side pumps air into the air tank, this side runs off of gas. But if you take that air compressor head off, it'll be back to a normal 302 again. But it's an air compressor, so I'll start it up for you and let you listen to it, so you don't hear any arcing while it's running. Before, it arced like crazy, but I fixed that now since I ground those 4 plug wires to the block. But listen, I'll let you listen here. And yes, I did have it running, so that's why it shows about 158 degrees Fahrenheit. I had it running, so. But let me start up here. And also, when it's running, it sucks air through this air cleaner. This air cleaner actually does two purposes here. Not only it filters the air for the compressor side, but also filters the air going into through the carburetor to run the engine. So when it's running, it's sucking air through here, going into the air filter. It goes through here, this tube right here, then it goes into here. In this chamber, this actually is a chamber right here, the cover, it's a lid chamber. Air comes in here, gets sucked through here, goes right into the carburetor. And believe it or not, when it's running, there's actually air blowing out of this carburetor hat. So if you think about it, it's kind of like a forced induction almost. You know, not really forcing the air too much, but there's a little bit of air blowing out of this hat right here going into the carburetor. And well, this is going to be part 2 because of the phone. Anyway, because of the phone call. But anyway, as I was saying, this is going to be part 2. This is really, I mean, this is kind of a forced induction. If you think about it, air coming in here from the air box over there. Air comes in through here, and it's actually being blown into this. And then it goes right into the carburetor to run. I mean, it's kind of like a forced induction, but not really, because there's no turbo or anything like that on it. But it does blow air into there to help it run. Now, this is a special manifold, or a special adapter for the carburetor. This manifold is a regular 302 manifold, 2-barrel manifold. But this side of the manifold is blocked off. Air and fuel can't get on this side of the manifold. That's why you see this plate here. It also holds your air stuff on. But if you look very, very closely, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's an aluminum block right on here. It's a little bitty aluminum block right here where my finger's pointing at. One side of that block is actually blocked off. This side blocked off on that aluminum block. So fuel and air can't get in through this side. But this other side where the carburetor sits is open all the way through. And here, I'll come over here. You might see it a bit better over here. Okay, here's that aluminum adapter, if you can see it. Right there. And right here is the single barrel carburetor. And here's a better shot of it up here, that aluminum block. If I had this air cleaner off, this air thing off, you can literally see right straight through into the manifold, through inside. And that's where it runs these other 4 cylinders on this side that runs the engine. And that's what runs this engine and gives it your fuel and basically runs this side. And this side pumps air. That's how it runs. The timing, the ignition timing is way different on this than a regular 302. You see right here where the vacuum deal is? That's all the way that way. So that's pretty far timing for this side over here. And like I said, it's timed by off the number 8 cylinder right here, which is number 1 on this side. So this is 8, 7, 6, and 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side. So that's the way it runs. And I had to put a T right here and a 90 degree for the fuel, because I'll show you why. Because this thing didn't have a fuel pump, not fuel pump. This thing didn't have a fuel pressure gauge, because I didn't know how much fuel pressure the old lift pump put out. And this thing puts about, right now it's sitting at 6 pounds of fuel pressure, and earlier it was running about 8.5 to 9 pounds of pressure earlier. So, and I put this fan clutch on here. This came off my Ford over there, my A2 Ford, and right now it has a flex fan on it. And this oil pressure thing came off of it too. I'm going to redo some of this right here. I'm going to get another one of those oil pressure things off of eBay. That's got a 1/4 inch, and then out here on the side it's got 1/8 inch plug, 1/8 inch port. Then I can put the 1/8 inch port deal right this down there, and basically I can take this other piece of this tube off and then put a plug right here, or get a 90 or go to 45 and go right directly to this right here and get rid of this T, because so that way you don't have any oil leaks. And here's the cool thing about this thing too. Oil pumping out of this gets filtered right here. This is your external filter. Right here is your main filter. But anyway, the oil coming out of that pressure tube there goes into here, goes through here, out here, goes into the radiator, and then circulates through the radiator, and then goes back out, and then comes back up to the valve cover. Basically, it uses would have been the trans cooler as a oil cooler, and it goes back into the engine and cools it down. But anyway, there's your little shot of it, and enjoy. Oh, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more videos.